Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I don't know where it is that you're joining the Life Signatures Radio, but welcome aboard. We're continuing in a very long series that I promised is going to be quite long. I don't know about that anyway. But we started this series yesterday. This show is daily, and we talk about purpose, productivity, and resilience every working day on this particular show. And we started talking about work yesterday. So we're going to continue talking about that and looking at the different aspects of work and why it's central to the existence of the human being. That if you removed work from our psyche, if you removed work from our being, then we will basically just come crumbling down. So work is absolutely necessary. And so in the very first 5 or so episodes, we'll be talking about the 5 facets. We started talking about one yesterday. The 5 facets of work that are universal to the human experience. So let's continue talking about that today. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
In some aspects of life, or in some areas of life, in some people groups, people think, and wrongfully so, by the way, they think that work is a curse. You go through trouble and so on and so forth in this life, and you come to the conclusion that man is cursed, and the tool for the cursing of man is work and toil. And we look at the scripture that says, you will toil, now that you've done what I told you not to do, you are going to toil from now on. We forget that just before this fall, talking about Adam and Eve, that guy was not just sitting and lounging and loafing. He was working. He was tending. Actually, he was given the responsibility to tend a garden. Take care of it, manage it, look after it, nurture it. That was his responsibility. He was given that responsibility, that oversight. And he was not being, listen to this, Adam was not being micromanaged. As in, he was given the free will, the free autonomy to do whatever he wanted to do with the garden. It was up to him. Free range thinking. So you cannot tell me that work is a curse. No, it is a responsibility. It is purpose oriented, purpose connected. Why am I saying it's purpose connected? Why will you create a guy? Why will you create someone and then give him the responsibility? It tells you that the purpose, the reason for you creating that person was to give him the responsibility in the first place. So work and purpose are absolutely connected one to another. I know I'm going ahead of myself, but let me just come back here. That there are 5 facets of work that we need to be aware of. We started discussing this one. We said that creation is one of it. Okay, let me just back up a little, because when I talk about creation, just after talking about Adam and Eve, people go to Genesis in the Bible and think of that creation. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about creating things as a facet of work. Things that probably have never been there before. Things that no one has seen before. That is the creation I'm talking about. In the dictionary, we looked at it. It means to bring something into existence, to invest in a new form. It means to produce or to bring about a course of action or behavior. It means to cause. It means to produce through imaginative skill. That, hallelujah, is one facet of work. It sounds nice, doesn't it? It sounds exciting, doesn't it? Imagine if work did not have this kind of a facet. It will be arduous. It will be boring. And some of us, we are bored because there is no creation in our work. And maybe it's not even our work in the first place, because our work is connected to purpose. And if it's connected to purpose, then there has got to be this facet of creating things, bringing new forms, using our imaginative skill. And it is not a reserve of creatives. People normally say, oh, I'm a creative. Another one say, oh, I'm not a creative. No, everyone has a creation aspect, component in their purpose work. If you find that your work is boring, probably your work is not purpose oriented. Maybe that's not what you're born to do. Let me just throw that out there. So creation is a facet of work. And there are different facets of creation that we can talk about, and I'm going to talk about each and every one of them in the succeeding episodes. Today, let us talk about one. This is invention. Invention. When we talk about invention, okay, do you know our minds automatically shut down because we are thinking it's a reserve of Isaac Newton, a reserve of Henry Ford, a reserve of Madame Curie, a reserve of all these luminaries like Albert Einstein and the guy who discovered the light, or he invented the light actually. Our minds shut down and we're excluded or secluded from invention. No, we're not. Today, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to Microsoft Word and you typed the word WhatsApp, chances are that the app versions of Microsoft Word will not highlight it as a spelling mistake. You know why? Because it was invented by somebody who is our contemporary. If you go to Microsoft Word today and you wrote the word border, B-O-D-A, you know what's going to happen? Chances are that it will not be highlighted as spelling mistake. Why? Because it's been adopted, because it's an invention. You know what I'm saying? What I'm communicating at the end of the day? There's a guy, you see, anyway, there's a guy who's called, I think, Noah St. John. Yes, Noah St. John is the name. And Noah St. John, forgive me, I'm going to take a bit of time on this one. Noah St. John looked at what people normally call affirmation, saying, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm famous, I'm famous, I'm famous. And he says in his book, he says, every time you say I'm rich, your brain says, yeah, right. And he discovered, or he invented something called affirmations. You know what affirmations are? They are like affirmations in the form of questions. So if you say I am rich and factually you are not, your brain shuts down and says stop lying. But if you say, how am I rich? Why? Okay, not how. Why am I so rich? Aha. Your brain cannot counter that. In fact, your brain goes on a overdrive trying to find an answer for that particular affirmation. Now, affirmation is an invention by Noah St. John, who is our contemporary. There are basically very many inventions that any average person who is doing their work on purpose can be able to come up with, something that this world has never seen before. And it can be generally accepted. People all over the place keep inventing. It's just that we think inventions have to be as big as Henry Ford, as big as the light bulb Thomas Edison, as big as the railways, as big as the Wright brothers. No, inventions, they happen, I can tell you, they happen nearly daily. To any worker of purpose, inventions are not a novelty, not some far-fetched thing. It's cyclic, can even be daily. So obviously when you invent something, it will have to be a new thing. And since time began, one of the greatest sources of work has been inventions. And for example, someone invented mobile phones. You're using a smartphone because someone invented it. With just one invention of a mobile phone, millions, let me not say millions, billions of people worldwide have found avenues of work, either directly or indirectly, because of that invention. Right now, on the mobile phone, someone invented something called mobile money. Technical terminologies, people normally say financial inclusion, I've forgotten the other word they normally use. But when mobile money was invented, the idea of sending money on the phone, it created work for very many people to the level of C-suite managers. In fact, it's created whole organizations, whole entities, whole companies because of an invention. We all can invent something. Virtually everything you see around you today was invented by someone. It was created from scratch. When we talk about inventions, though, some people, they tend to think that it's a reserve of some few people. It is not. Nothing can be further from the truth. If you are looking for work, then probably inventions could be one avenue through which you can find that particular work. Our problem in our schooling system, I started this series by talking about the schooling system, is we are not taught this, that another form of work is inventions. We only think that work is that which you get after successfully going through school for 20 years and graduating top of your class. We don't think that, by the way, we have even very many examples of people who did not finish the said school because of an invention. Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. I don't know about this Amazon guy. But you get my point. And I'm not saying that every one of you should get out of school. This is stupidity. Get out of school so that you can go and no, invent something. If you've invented something at 17 and you're still in school, why? I had Miles Monroe yesterday. I was watching Miles Monroe with my wife, and he gave a very powerful story. Two guys in college went to India, and India is a highly populated country, and they saw people all over the place. One guy saw people all over the place, and he was marveling at how poor they were. His friend saw shoes, and he went back to America, United States of America, and created shoes from plastic and sent to India, and in 1 year became a multi-millionaire. Are you getting? He invented something. It's not a reserve of a few people. School, and by the way, that guy quit school. He quit school. He quit school. I'm not saying that you should quit school so that you can go and invent. I'm saying if you've invented something that is solving a problem here on earth, and you are in school learning Pythagoras theorem. What are you doing in that particular school? Why don't you follow through that invention, especially if you have a proof of concept and it's working? My point is that we have this warped thinking that the one avenue of getting a job, and we think work is a job, and that avenue is school. Not necessarily, my friends. I tend to think that inventions are both done deliberately or accidentally, and they are done through responding to passion inside of your heart or responding to problems around your life in this world one way or another. You don't need 20 years in school to do this. I'm speaking to myself. In other words, as long as you are engaging yourself either in something that is passionate through your work, chances are that you might be able to invent something. It is a given for you. So, with those kinds of parameters that we're talking about, anybody, anywhere, can be an inventor of something. People do that on a daily basis. And inventions are part of the creative part of work. Okay? Let us teach our children these things, brothers and sisters. Let us not be just pipe-minded. Anyway, I've got to stop here. Tomorrow we're going to continue. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.